As a family, this brought us closer together and bonded.
Scott, look at her face. Do you see her eyes kind of move side to side a little bit there? She needs help.
19 years with my queen. We celebrated this year.
Dude, her eyeball.
Joe Rogan has finally responded to the bizarre and threatening behavior of Brian Johnson, better known as Liver King, following a viral rant in which Johnson challenged the podcaster to a physical fight while wearing a wolf hat and brandishing gold-plated guns. However, what's drawing just as much attention as Johnson's unhinged outburst is the quiet yet telling shift in tone from someone much closer to him, his wife, Barbara Johnson, known online as Liver Queen.
You want to fight me?
While Brian's threats were quickly flagged by fans and reported to law enforcement, prompting a swift arrest on charges of making a terroristic threat, the real unraveling appears to be happening quietly within his own home. Barbara Johnson, who has long maintained a carefully curated public image stoic, composed, and always smiling in the shadow of her husband's high-octane antics, has begun to show cracks. What's becoming increasingly clear to observers is that even she seems to be signaling that things are spiraling out of control.
Extremely deranged, dilated pupils, and so we don't know. This is what is happening in America. And we need God, folks. We need God. We need to get back to God. And so we hope everything goes okay, and we hope that Trump's happening right now, so we're waiting until story's already happening to upload this information. Of course, we're not telling you the locations.
Joe Rogan's reaction has been one of deep concern, not just irritation. According to sources close to the case, Rogan told confidants, "It's not just about being threatened, it's the instability." He made it clear to authorities that he had never met Brian Johnson, had no interaction with him, and had no interest in engaging. Rogan didn't contact the police out of offense. He called because he was genuinely worried that Johnson was spiraling into something more dangerous. The guns, the erratic speech, the visible sweating and pacing, it no longer felt like a performance. It felt real.
So who'd I pick a fight with? Joe Rogan?
He's full of shit.
Why? Anyone want to know why? One word. One word. Family.
If you replace the word family with ego?
Meanwhile, Barbara, who has stood by her husband through years of controversial content and a $100 million fitness empire built on false natural claims, appears to be reaching her limit. Insiders close to the family have noted that in recent blog posts and interviews, she's begun subtly distancing herself from Brian's most extreme behavior. She's also started speaking more openly about the emotional toll their lifestyle has taken, especially since his 2022 admission that he was secretly spending $11,000 per month on steroids while marketing himself as an all-natural health guru. In one recent blog entry, Brian revealed that he and Barbara had what he called their worst fight night in a decade. What followed, he claimed, was an emotional reconnection, but reading between the lines, it felt more like damage control than genuine
Liver
healing.
King fall into the Maha type movement? I mean, he seems at the very least Maha adjacent with his bizarre raw liver diet that has aged him hundreds of years in the course of about 5. But he is on the warpath against Joe Rogan. What's going on there?
That's a brief introduction to Liver King. I mean, this is a guy who looks sort of like a caveman, if a caveman had a gym and steroids. And he was a big thing a few years ago because he looked so ripped, and he said, "I don't use steroids."
And it wasn't the first time the cracks had shown. There's a long-standing pattern of imbalance in their marriage that they've often tried to frame as part of their primal partnership. Brian's aggressive personality centered on dominance, constant challenge, and hypermasculine intensity has frequently overshadowed Barbara's calmer, more grounded demeanor. Their relationship has always been described in extreme terms. He called himself the dominant husband and referred to her as queen. But behind those grand titles, there was a visible strain.
Liver King picking a fight with Joe Rogan. Because
Alright, so as many of you may know by now, the Liver King was just arrested in Austin, Texas yesterday for making terroristic threats towards Joe Rogan. But I think what a lot of people are missing here is exactly why the police arrested him for that specific charge.
In fact, Barbara has long been the one tasked with cleaning up the mess behind the scenes. During the steroid scandal, it was she who urged Brian not to publicly admit the truth, not to protect the lie. She later explained, but because she anticipated the public fallout. She feared the backlash wouldn't just impact Brian, would affect their children, their business, and everything they had built. And she was right. Online trolls targeted their teenage sons. Barbara was ridiculed for her an appearance, and she was accused of enabling Brian's aggressive persona.
Because they wouldn't just arrest him for threatening to fight Joe Rogan. That doesn't really classify as a...
She stayed. Barbara continued appearing in their content, attending events and smiling for photos, but in recent months there's been a quiet shift. Her tone has softened, grown more weary, and in the wake of the police report filed by Joe Rogan, an arrest report that includes evidence of weapons and delusional threats, there are now reports that Barbara has been making private apologies on her husband's behalf. Not to the public, but to sponsors, business partners, and people behind the scenes. One person familiar with the situation described her as embarrassed, exhausted, and trying to hold everything together without blowing it up. When Rogan's team was asked about Barbara's role in all this, the response was telling. She's trying to fix what she knows is broken. We respect that, but it's Claire Avon. She knows he's a lunatic.
Why do you
What do you
not
think?
tell people about your steroid usage?
Because of what it implies. I think a better question really is, it's the same question, do you take things? My answer has been the same because I've always told the truth. And you can say or think whatever you want.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, this is what my message is really all about. Did you know 50 years ago, we had on average 50% higher testosterone? If you just think about that, we could probably go 50 to 100% higher just by doing the 9 ancestral tenets. Isn't that what most people do with steroids to increase their testosterone by 50 to 100%?
Barbara's private gestures of remorse, what some insiders are now describing as her begging for forgiveness behind closed doors, are being seen as a last-ditch effort to salvage what's left of their reputation. These actions mark the beginning of a narrative shift. Until now, the Liver King brand thrived on Brian's relentless bravado. Moving forward, it may only endure because Barbara is quietly working damage control. In the Netflix documentary Untold, The Liver King, Barbara was portrayed as the emotional center of the family, the one who kept balance in a household defined by raw liver, extreme workouts, and constant public scrutiny. That portrayal would have been more accurate than many realized. She wasn't just the liver queen. She was the stabilizer, the protector, the only adult in the room.
About the Liver King shit, bro.
Man, I mean, did you see the
Am I good
apology
at
thing?
I did a bit, yeah. But didn't like everyone knows he's on steroids.
Well, everyone knows, right? But like, it's different because he's out there saying, "I'm not on steroids. I'm not on steroids. It's the tenants. It's these things," and it's like, fuck. Everyone knows in the community, but like the majority of the public likely.
So you knew, like,
bro, I mean, it's like, come on. All the other shit.
Now, in the fallout of this latest meltdown, people are beginning to wonder whether even Barbara can keep it all together. This is no longer just a branding scandal, it's a matter of public safety, mental health, and the well-being of those closest to Brian Johnson, especially Barbara, who appears to be buckling under the weight of maintaining a collapsing image. Joe Rogan's final word on the situation came during an informal moment on his podcast. When someone makes a threat like that, and they've got access to weapons, and you see that kind of behavior, sweating, pacing, ranting, not just a stunt, it's someone losing it. You hope they get help, but you also step back.
Because I'm embarrassing the thing. So I lied. And I almost left a lot of people. I think that this is a complicated and subtopic of the community. Because before social media, I was rich and anonymous. And after social media, I'm so rich. No longer anonymous. And I'll never expect a ton of exposure from the public eye.
I can't even believe this is real, but it is. The Liver King has been arrested. That's right. I've got a breaking exclusive straight from our sources. The Austin Police Department is, at this very moment, en route to a hotel in downtown Austin to take him into custody.
I cannot even believe that this is real, but it is real. The Liver King was arrested.
We got a breaking exclusive for you. Our sources, the Austin Police Department, as we speak, is on the way to a hotel.
And he's not wrong. Johnson was released on a $20 bond and ordered by a Texas court to undergo a psychological evaluation within 7 days. The charge of making a terroristic threat could lead to jail time and fines, but more significantly, it signals that the legal system is finally taking its behavior seriously. On June 24, 2025, the 47-year-old was arrested by the Austin Police Department for allegedly threatening none other than Joe Rogan, the world's most prominent podcaster and a longtime critic of Johnson's larger-than-life persona. Although Liver King was quickly released after posting bond, the bizarre behavior that led to his arrest and his actions since have reignited widespread concern about his mental health and personal stability.
Literally right to my face would say, like, blatantly, I am natural.
There's some people that are really jacked that are natural.
For sure.
I fucked up.
I don't know if you guys are able
I
to watch.
just-
That's what I was leaning to. Is just like I feel like his overall body composition is pretty consistently represented. I don't think he has. I don't think it's implants. So, well, granted, then it's like, well, if it's unnoticeable, would you even?
You only see the stuff that's not good. You do steroids.
But this guy would literally look me in the eye and blatantly say, I'm natural. Now sure, there are some people out there who are really jacked and actually natural, but I'd bleep it up believing him. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's where I was leaning. I felt like his overall body composition looked consistent. I didn't think it was implants or anything. Then again, if it's subtle enough to go unnoticed, would you even question it? You only really see the stuff that's obvious. Welcome to YouTube steroids culture.
Joe Rogan.
And I'm coming to Joe Rogan's town, Austin. I was here before you, Joe Rogan. Texas, that's my home. This week you probably might need to worry about me. You probably need to worry about Joe Rogan more. You've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out all week, Joe Rogan. So when I'm like, hey, anybody know my name? Liver King. Who am I fighting? Joe Rogan.
The arrest followed a series of disturbing Instagram videos that Johnson posted directly targeting Joe Rogan. These weren't just idle rants. Johnson issued cryptic warnings, made physical threats, referenced bizarre conspiracies, and brandished gold-plated handguns. At one point, he even implied that he had traveled to Austin specifically to confront Rogan. His statements, filled with aggressive undertones and surreal imagery, quickly caught the attention of law enforcement. According to the police report, Rogan confirmed that he had never met Johnson and had no prior interaction with him, making the threats even more alarming. Officers assured Rogan they were taking the matter seriously and acted quickly. Johnson was detained and booked on a terrorism-related charge, which, under Texas law, carries the possibility of jail time and a hefty fine. A restraining order was also issued, requiring Johnson to remain at least 200 yards away from Rogan.
I've seen everything that's been happening with the Liver King recently. This is someone that I've talked about over the years, and recently it's pretty clear something has happened to his mental. It's downright sad and scary, actually. He got arrested like 2 days ago now for making terroristic threats against Joe Rogan, even going so far as to travel to Austin, seemingly with the sole purpose of attacking him or, in his words, challenging him and fighting him.
Shortly after his release, Liver King took to Instagram from a hotel room, continuing the very behavior that led to his arrest. In the first of several new videos, he rambled about getting ready for a fight, cryptically referenced something he called Blue Scorpion, and framed his arrest as part of a twisted game between himself and Rogan. Speaking in vague, coded language, he never directly addressed the threat but implied it was all a misunderstanding. The terrorist threat that was reduced. I don't want to say any details, nor any names, he said, offering no clarity while hinting at conspiracies behind the scenes. That's how you get ready for a fight, he concluded, adding to the unease surrounding his mental state.
Draining, that's a good feeling. And then anything else that you can break on me, break it on me. I hope that you won't feel me tap. That's never happening, tapping, because I have something actually to fight for. Actually, that's my family.
I know this is sort of like, what the fuck is going on there? And some of these clips might be a little bit humorous, but this is also not great. Like, you look at the comment section, and everyone is genuinely like, oh my god, he's lost his mind. People are asking questions about stuff.
In that same clip, Johnson wore a hoodie featuring Joe Rogan's logo, further blurring the line between menace and marketing. Some viewers saw it as a disturbing attempt to reframe the controversy as a promotional stunt, while others found it deeply unsettling, especially in light of Johnson's history of deception and his increasingly erratic online behavior. In a follow-up video, he announced plans to release a series of posts over the next week before taking what he described as a break. If there was any lingering doubt that Johnson was spiraling, the steady stream of bizarre footage erased it for many. Comment sections quickly filled with concern, confusion, and alarm. While some mocked his appearance, pointing out scabs on his face and accusing him of being on drugs, others pleaded for him to seek help, warning that the situation no longer felt like content creation but a real mental health crisis unfolding in public.
Maybe apologize to Joe Rogan. Yeah, that's a start, I think that would be fine.
I think they'll listen. You already got your fame. What the fuck do you need? What more do you need? You know what I mean? It's the old saying, poor man want to be rich, rich man want to be king. The king ain't satisfied till he rules everything. There comes a point in time, like, where are you going to go from here? Do you understand? I get the whole reinvent yourself, but you already hit the fucking high note. You don't have to fucking do anything. You've already set, your family is set for life.
Viewers also noted a blue discoloration around Johnson's mouth in one clip, which sparked further speculation about possible substance abuse. To longtime followers, The downfall of Liver King feels like a slow-moving train wreck that started long before this latest incident. Back in 2021, Johnson shot to fame almost overnight with viral videos flaunting his so-called ancestral lifestyle, shirtless workouts in the wild, raw liver consumption, and a barrage of hypermasculine challenges that captivated millions. He promoted a philosophy built around 9 ancestral tenets, claiming modern men had grown weak by straying too far from their primal roots. His entire brand was built on raw authenticity and natural living, so it seemed.
And they really know me. And really know me. I mean,
Yeah.
First thing I do, I get up, I make a good morning story. I mean, I'm filming stories all throughout the day, every single day, to let people in.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know how really to answer this other than I let them all down. I said that I didn't do this thing. I said that I didn't do steroids this whole time, and I've been doing them. And so
Joe Rogan
I think
goes
that
on the carnivore diets.
Have I heard about it? Have I heard about it? And anybody who's talking about this, I love it. You're helping me do my job. This is my purpose in life. And as much as it is what we eat, it's also what we don't eat. So to answer your question, I love it when people are talking about eating carnivorously. I think Joe Rogan shows that he has a transformation when he does it. I don't know why he does it longer.
It all came crashing down when Johnson was exposed for secretly using steroids and human growth hormone, despite repeatedly claiming to be natty. The backlash was immediate, and fierce health influencers branded him a fraud, supplement. Customers demanded refunds, and the trust he had spent years cultivating with his audience was shattered. But perhaps the most lasting damage was to his public image. Once seen as a charismatic, if eccentric figure promoting an alternative lifestyle, Johnson's credibility evaporated almost overnight. Joe Rogan, who had long suspected Johnson was lying, addressed the revelation directly on his podcast, calling it the least surprising thing ever. For Johnson, who had clearly sought Rogan's approval and attention, this public dismissal may have been the trigger that set off his downward spiral. What began as exposure turned into unraveling,